Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I said it many times and I will keep saying it as long as the Russians change. Russians are very consistent. That is, if they tell you something, that's gonna be it. If they promise or just tell you, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna punch you in the face, they will punch you in the face. If they say, hey, we're gonna give you $1, they're gonna give you $1. Good or bad, the Russians are consistent, as far as I can tell. That is when they said, hey, if you're gonna do this, this is gonna be my reaction. At least they let you know, so you know the boundaries. Instead of, hey, if you're nice with me, I'm gonna give you some money. You're nice with me, I'm not gonna give you money. So you don't like that kind of person, do you? Well, what did the Russians do? The Russians did what they said they will do, which is will not sell oil to anybody below the price cap that the communists set at $60 a barrel. And you say, well, that's been before they said it. Well, now that bad dude called Putin, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, he signed a decree. He said, no gas for... Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Putin says that, obviously, Putin approves decree banning supply of oil, petroleum products under price cap. So let's see who's going to die first. This article comes from Sputnik, so you know what I mean. And it is from today, the 27th of December 2022. The Kremlin has repeatedly blasted the price cap introduction by Western countries as unacceptable for Russia, underlining that the country will never agree to such destruction of market pricing. Russian President Vladimir Putin has approved a decree on special measures in connection with the price cap on Russian oil, prohibiting the delivery of oil and petroleum products if the contracts envisage price limits. The decree banning supply of Russian oil products under price cap comes into force on February 1st. All right, so they got what? A month and a little bit. February 1st, 2023. While the ban on petroleum products will be defined later by the Cabinet of Ministers. However, the decree envisaged that the President may grant special permission for product supply prohibited under the price cap. The decree will remain in force until July 1st, 2023. So he said, okay, until July 2023, see if you guys got burnt yet and you come begging for oil, basically. Earlier on Sunday, or maybe Russia will just collapse, right? Earlier on Sunday, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that oil and gas price ceilings are unacceptable to Russia and the country will never, ever, never, ever, never agree to the destruction of market pricing. Responding to the initiative to impose a price cap on Russian gas, Putin called it an attempt at administrative regulating. And I'm quoting, you know, this is a slightly different regulation than an attempt to regulate oil prices. Here, the European Commission talked more about the need to regulate the situation on the stock exchange, linking to LNG, liquefied natural gas, saying that price should be correlated with liquefied natural gas prices and so on, but still it is an attempt to administratively regulate prices, end quote, Putin said, adding that Moscow reserves the right to retaliate in case it violates Gazprom's contracts. The European Union's $60 per barrel price cap on Russian oil went into effect on December 5, together with a ban on seaborne exports. The cap will be reviewed every 2 months to remain at 5% below the International Energy Agency benchmark. The G7 nations and Australia have also capped Russian oil exports at $60 per barrel. Now, mutual destruction. I know one country that will not be affected by this much, and that's the United States of America. But guess who pushed for this? It's unbelievable. The Europeans shot themselves in the foot. and the Australians, I'm guessing. I don't know Australia how much it needs, or what could be other how much oil it buys from the Russians. Like if I don't buy anything from you, I can say, hey guys, you should impose a sanction on that guy. It doesn't affect me, it affects you. So, but if I have the power, I will make you screw yourselves and not me. So the same, United States, I think it gets about 10% of its oil from Russia, but the 10% is because the United States, decides not to tap their not reserves, not the strategic reserves. That's stupid. They're already doing that, or they did it at least for 7 months already. They did the first 6 months, 1 million barrels a day. There you have it. So it's about 180 million barrels a day from their reserves, oil reserves, which are a capacity of 714 or something like this, 714 million barrels. So they sucked in 6 months 180 million barrel, and then they think they got another 15 million barrels or something again. So now they say they're gonna put back. United States does not need Russian oil. It can extract. It has the capability. Trump did it. So United States was independent on that matter, at least. It's okay now, so they can afford have everybody else impose that cap. Russia said we're gonna stop providing you with oil if you do it below 60. So we will give it to you, but not at 60. So if the oil, I don't know, the market dictates that the oil, a barrel is gonna be a price per barrel would be let's say 150, and you want 60 to pay 60, you're gonna take 60. Niet, nothing. So that's what the thing is. It's just I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems like I think I told you this before about I think it was Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, at one point. I don't know how many years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, something. It might have been him or Itzhak Rabin. I can't remember. Anyway, he said the Palestinians never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. So the same here. It seems like the Europeans do not miss an opportunity, and they screw themselves daily with gas, with oil, and then they cry, our industry is going to United States. Oh, the United States has cheaper gas. Oh, United States sells liquefied natural gas to us at a triple the price. What should we do? Well, maybe try to be independent once in a while, or forever, or always. Anyway, as Putin said many times, I don't know, in the past 10 years or so, he said when the Europeans will have their own independent foreign policy, then maybe we can do business with them. Until then, it's going to be a high risk for us. Why? Because always Big Daddy from across the Atlantic, Zimbabwe, yeah, we're going to show up and tell these guys what to do. So then it's useless for the Russians to negotiate or make a deal with, let's say, the Germans or French or whomever in Europe, and then that changes when the Americans say, no, you can't do that. Then the Germans, the Russians should just ask the Big Daddy directly, just bypass Europe and say, okay, Washington D.C., how much should Europe be allowed to buy from us, and at what price? Let's how do you call it? Bypass the middleman, which is exactly the European Union, which is the one that United States will negotiate for. It's embarrassing, and it's for all to see. But somehow the Europeans like it, or at least they don't have the power to change anything. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. I mean, what happens is going to be this: if the Europeans want to buy it, and G7 and Australia want to buy it at 70 or below dollars per barrel, and the market is going to be above that, then you're not going to have anything. Zero for you. But the problem is this: you're going to have this. Let's say now the market is, let's say, $50 per barrel. You're going to buy it, but when it's going to go 70, you're not going to buy it. So all of a sudden you have a shortage, because the Russians are not going to sell it to you. Or you make contracts. If you make a contract, nobody's going to make a contract with you. The Russians are talking. Agree with a contract with you. If you offer them 60, they say no. No. So then you're going to have, or you're not going to have oil. And the Russians will find a market out there. Why? because these guys in the European Union, it's just so stupid. These guys think that they are the center of the universe, and they're not. They're not, and they're losing that power. I'm talking about the Anglo-Saxon axis, because France and the rest of the weasels in Europe are just losers, nothing, bottom feeder, that's what they are. It's United States basically, and works in Europe through Great Britain, and works with Germany because Germany is a powerhouse, economic power, industry. But they're weasel, they're nothing in between their legs, like squeak, 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 nothing in between, nothing, zero, since 1945, unfortunately. And as I always say, I think Germany got salt on it as well, like Carthage with Rome, ancient Rome. When the Romans beat the Carthaginians, finally, they raised the whole fucking city and they put salt on it. They salt everywhere, so it's not gonna grow anything. No more Carthage forever. So I guess until 1945, that's what Americans did with Germany. Cut the balls and then a lot of salt, and that's it. You're gonna be eunuchs, whatever you are. Those, bowless, castrated, in the Chinese court. Remember those guys, the castrated? I don't know how you call them. Eunuchs, eunuchs. You know what I'm talking about. If you know, I give you enough information to figure out who those guys are. The guys that could not have, if they get a queen or the empress, I'm sorry, not a queen, the empress, they could not impregnate her. That was the whole thing. I don't know if with the testosterone that they had, they still have a or All right, too much information on that one. Let's return with this issue. So Russia will have a market, the rest of the world, Europe will have to beg someone else, and that someone else will not sell them with $60 a barrel. That's the problem. If you think that Europe will go and say, hey, let's say the market is set at, let's say, $80 per barrel, and Russia says, we're not going to give you shit. And Europe goes to the Arabs, hey, what's up? How about you give us the oil, but you give it $20 below the market? And the Arab is going to say, yeah, bye-bye, see you never. That's what's going to happen. And then what? Where are you going to get your oil? From the United States? Do you think the United States is going to sell it to you with $60 per barrel? No, they're going to want to sell it to you at above the market price. Anyway, we'll see. And if the Europeans want to buy it from the Arabs with 80, they will buy it with 80 or 90 or 100 or whatever. They're not going to buy the Russian. And if the Arabs going to give Europe oil, that means they're not going to give someone else. Guess who's going to fill that one? The Russians. So it's like this, you know. You don't buy it from these guys, but you need these guys. These guys, to give it to you, have to take it from somewhere else they sell. Because it's a finite production. That's it. No more than this. So if they give you this, where's the other half? Someone has to fill that. Who's going to be? Russia, because you don't buy it from the Russians. So stupid. Anyway, we'll see. I hope you will have enough so you can drive and you don't turn into, I don't know, boats, you know, with the rows, or bicycles or something like that, or rollerblading. That's how we're going to go to work, with bicycles. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.